it into a stylish earring. Hey there, I'm Dena. In today's tutorial, we're combining bead weaving and charms to create a one-of-a-kind earring using beads from the Cat's Meow anniversary bundle. First, I'll show you how to make a few tiny charms with the included beads, and then we'll build a CRAW cube as the base and attach the charms so they dangle from each corner. It's a fun mix of technique and sparkle. So let's get started. Alright, so let's get started on this earring. We're going to be using these beads that are in this tray. Now this one is a little bit more intensive. This is earring number 4 in this anniversary box that I'm making out of here. And this one's going to be a little bit more, hi Kylie, she's coming by to say hi again. This one's going to be a little bit more of an advanced type bead weaving. This is actually a CRAW unit. If you're not familiar with CRAW, it is cubic right angle weave. So we actually make a cube out of the, I think these are 6mm. These are the red agate beads that I'm using in this one. And then from there, we're going to hang some little charms that we're going to make. So if you're not familiar with cubic right angle weave, after I get all this situated and everything, I will show you exactly what I'm going to do. I will show you how to make it. And then if you are familiar with cubic right angle weave, you can always skip that section and go to the next to see how I finish this off. So what we'll do on this first part is we'll get all of our little charms ready to go, and then we'll come back and I will show you how to do the CRAW unit, except I will use I'll come back and I'll show you how to do the CRAW unit first or after this, but I will use 8OC beads. So I'll teach you how to do it that way. So that way if you're not familiar with CRAW, then you can learn it from watching the 8Os or me making it through the 8Os. And then if you are familiar, like I said, you could just skip over it. Alright, so what we want to do, we want to make ourselves a little assembly line. I already have 5 of my head pins already with a seed bead. So I'm using the topaz seed beads on this one again, and then the little small tiger's eye gemstones. So I have 5 of those sitting there. And then the last ones are just going to be the last of the cat's crystal beads, the cat face crystal beads. So we're just going to put one of those on that, and then one of those. And then all you do on all of this is going to be the same process. So I would suggest to make yourself an assembly line like this, and then get all your beads on there first, then do the second step, which is going to be flipping your wire over. So just hold it just a little bit above your bead. Hold your pliers just a little bit above the bead, and then you just want to fold over gently and just make sure that you have enough room in between the crystal and your fold. So you want to have a little bit of a right angle weave sitting there. So that'll be the second thing that you'll do. So you do that with all 7 of your head pins. Now we're going to cut them off. So then after you do all of that, then you would line it up on your finger or wherever you think about 1 centimeter of size is going to be. And then we're going to cut this part off. Just make sure to hold on to this part because it could go flying across your desk. And that's happened many a times. So that's what you would have next. Our next step would be me forgetting to get all my pliers out before I started this video. So we're going to take the round nose pliers and we're just going to make a simple loop. And doing it this way, you can just kind of play around with the loop. You can make the loop bigger, smaller. The loops that are on the first earring are completely different sizes. They're not all the same. Some are smaller, some are larger, and then you just continue on until you come close to the other side. Oh wow, that didn't make any sense. So you continue on until your wire starts to hit the first part of the wire. So you make a complete loop. That still didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that is what you would do on the first step. Once you get that part done, you get all 7 of these made, I would suggest to go ahead and add 1 jump ring to each one of your head pins. And that's only because when I got to a point where I started adding all my charms to the earring, it was just a lot easier to have at least 1 head pin attached, or 1 jump ring attached to each of the little charms. Just made it easier to grab onto, easier to attach to the CRAW unit and everything. So that's what you would want to do, is have all 7 of your charms already set and ready to go. So this next little section, I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to do the CRAW unit. So if you're not familiar on how to do CRAW, then you can watch this next section. If you are, go ahead and skip to the section after that and we'll start assembling. See you back in a second. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to do cubic right angle weave, otherwise known as CRAW. So we're going to need a total of 12 beads here just to do the CRAW unit, and I've got 3 different colors so that way I can tell you what the bottom, or yeah, we'll consider this the bottom, then we'll consider these the side beads, and then we'll consider this the top beads. So to start off, you want to pick up 4 of your bottom beads, and I'm using fire polish. I was going to use 8-ohs, but I decided to go ahead and use fire polish instead. Go ahead and pull those all the way down to the end of your thread to where you have some to hold on to. You want to make a circle with it, so go back through all 4 of these beads one more time. And then proceed back through the first bead only one more time. So the first bead you're going to go through twice. You're going to have a little bit of thread sticking out, so just make sure you pull tight so there's no loose threads. And then that's what you should have. Now these are going to be our 4 bottom beads. Now what we're going to do for cubic right angle weave is that we have to build the sides and the top one at a time. So to do that, I'm going to turn this to the side just so it's easier for me to bead. So now this is considered my right hand side. You've got your top, your left, and your bottom. So now we need to build this side of the box. To do that, you're going to need to pick up 1 of your side beads, 1 of your top beads, and another 1 of your side beads. So we're coming out of the bottom bead down here. All we need to do is just go in the same direction as the thread path and circle through. Now it's going to look something similar to this. Now what you want to think of doing is try to fold these beads to where they're sitting in this fashion now. So when you turn it to the side, you now see that you have a bottom bead that's here, and you have 1 of your side beads here. So you have your bottom and your right. We need to add a left and a top. We're currently coming out of the bottom bead of the previous unit over here, so we need to proceed through the bottom bead of our next unit. So once you do that, now we're set up to where we can add our left and our top. So we need to add a left hand side and a top bead. Now we're coming out down here at the bottom, so you have to think of this like your circle here. So we added the left and the top bead, so now we need to proceed down through the right hand side bead like this, and then when you pull that tight, you now have your new unit there. You have 2 side beads, a top and a bottom. Now we need to complete this and go back through the bottom bead. And then that completes that side of the box. Now we have to rotate again to add our 3rd side of the box, which is going to be the same way that we just did the second side. So continue through your bottom bead. So here's your sides. You have your bottom down here, and you have your 1 side bead on the right hand side. So continue through your bottom bead, We're going to add 2 more beads again. We need one side and one top. When you're holding it in this direction, think of it as a circle, and you want to continue through from the top to the bottom of your right handmost bead. When you pull that down, you now have your unit with your right, your left, your top, and your bottom. Complete this unit by going back through the bottom bead that we started off with. And now that side is complete. So now we have 3 sides to our box complete. Now we have to just finish our 4th side. So I twisted it one more time, and now you can see we have a bottom, a left, and a right. So all we need to do is add our top. So let's get over there. To start it off, the side, you always have to go through your bottom bead first. In this particular one, we're going to go through the left-hand side bead because it's already sitting there. And then the next thing we'll need to do is add our top bead. So pick up your last top bead and then continue like we have been doing by going back down the right hand side. When you pull that tight, there is your 4th side of your box. So complete your stitch. Don't forget to always complete your stitch by going back down or going back through the bottom bead down there. Now there's just one more thing that we have to do. Your beads up here at the top, all your top beads are pretty loose, so we're going to have to connect to those. So to do that, we're going to continue through the left-hand side. And then this is where it doesn't really matter. You can either go to the left or the right. I'm going to flip this to where all we see are the top beads. So I'm coming out in between the left and the bottom bead right now. I'm just going to go ahead and continue through, continue through the left-hand side bead right here. And all we're going to do is just connect these 4 beads together. So go through the left bead, continue through the top bead, the right, the bottom, and then don't forget to connect your bottom and your left because you haven't done that yet. So you're going to go back through that first bead that you went through. And when you do that, you now have a completed CRAW unit with your bottom beads, your top beads, and your side beads. So that's how you do cubic right angle weave. So go ahead and do that with your gemstones and then meet me back and I will show you the next step for the earrings. Alright, so once you get your CRAW unit completed, then it should look something similar to this, which is pretty kind of neat the way it is right now. You know, you can always leave it like this if you wanted to and then attach a wire guard and then your earring and then you're done. But we're going to make this a little bit more detailed. So we're going to have to figure out what we're going to consider our top and what we're going to consider our bottom, because we're going to add 4 seed beads in between the top portion and then the bottom portion. So the top I'm just going to consider this right here, just because my thread is coming out of the right hand side of this bead, so I'm just going to say this is going to be my top. And it just happens to be that the opposite side of the CRAW unit is where my starter thread is coming out, the thread that I'm holding on to. So I'm going to use that as my bottom. So all we're going to do is just something very simple. So pick up an 8/0. You're coming out of that first bead, or what we're considering the top bead of our right angle unit. We're going to go to the right, just like that. We're going to pick up a second bead, go through the bottom, third bead, go through the left, and then the 4th bead, go through the top again. Just like that. Whoops. And try not to wrap around anything that's around your desk. And then get your thread all nice and tangled. Okay, good. Goodness gracious. Alright, so now we have 4 seed beads on that side. So I'm going to go through those 4 seed beads and the gemstones one more time. So that is through 1st and 2nd, 3rd seed bead, and the 4th seed bead. Now I'm going to get you down, darn it, apparently that's really in the way today. Now I'm going to get you down to the other side, the opposite side of your crawl unit, so that way we can start adding beads on the opposite side. So we're coming out of that 8/0 right now, up here at the top on the left hand side of the topmost bead. We're going to proceed through the top bead there, if I can find the hole of it. So we're going back through the top bead. Now I'm going to flip this in my hand to where now that top bead is now going to be considered the bottom bead. So this is going to be one of the sides of the crawl unit. I want to get down here to where we're coming out of the new top bead that's here. So we need to proceed through the right hand side of this crawl unit. And then I'm going to flip this one more time. So now you have, this is the bead that we're coming out of right here. You know, sorry. This is the bead that we're coming out of right here, and when you flip it one more time, you're now coming out in between these two beads right here. So now you can just decide if you want to go through this way or if you want to go through this way. I'm going to go in this direction, so that way when I get back around, then I can tie off with my starter thread. So I'm just going to go through from on the right hand side bead and come out right there. Then I'm going to add my 4 seed beads again. And I'm going to do the same thing that we did on the other side. So after you add your 4 seed beads, go through them one more time, making sure that you're not skipping the seed beads. That's just so you have the 2 thread paths through your seed beads, because we're going to be adding jump rings to every single one of these 8 seed beads that we're adding. So after you go through this, go through your 8/0s one more time, and then get back over to the starter thread over here and tie off, and then we will continue on and finish off our cute little earring. Meet you back in a second. Alright, so now it is assembly time to get your other earring finished. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to figure out which side that you want to have in your front. Do you want this in the front? Do you want that in the front? You know, and so on and so forth. How do you want your gemstones to look? Because we're going to go through each one of these 8/0s, like I had said in the previous clip. So just figure out how you want to have this hang. I'm just going to go ahead and use it just like this, and that will be my top. We're going to add the ear wire first, and in order to do that, for it to sit correctly with the 8/0s, you're going to have to add 3 of your jump rings. So I would suggest to take one of your jump rings, and Casper is trying to put his head in my lap right now, and then open that up if it's not already open, and then you can add 2 jump rings to this, because this will be your middle jump ring out of the 3. Then close that back up, and open up one of the jump rings that you just added, and add your ear wire. Close that back up. Whoops. Okay. I don't know if you can hear him breathing, but he's trying to purr. That's what we tried, and that's what we say at least. That my cats have purred so many times that he's like taken up the habit of standing next to you going, and it sounds like he's purring. So open up your 3rd jump ring, and then this one we just want to make sure that we're going to add to the what is this, the 8/0. Casper, you got me all messed up now. It's going to add to the 8/0 to where it's going to hang correctly. So that's why I'm just picking it up and slipping it through that 8/0, or at least trying to. And if it becomes too much of an issue, if it's too hard to get into that 8/0, you can always add the jump ring first and then add it on to your other components. Add the jump ring first to the 8/0 and then add the rest of the jump rings. There we go. Come on, Cosmo. You're about to knock down a bunch of stuff. Apparently everybody is right here, right next to me, needing something. Okay, so now we got that on. So this first little section, we're going to add just jump rings and items to the front part here. We're going to add our 2 kitty cat charms on this side, and then we're going to add just one of these charms down below. So the 2 kitty cat charms, we're going to need, I think, oh, yep, see, here's Kylie. Ay, ay, ay. So we're going to have 1 extra jump ring on all of these. So go ahead and open up another jump ring. And then I think yeah. So the ones in the front, we're going to have 2 total jump rings. Whoa. So we're going to add the jump ring first, which might be a little bit easier to do that. Add the jump ring to your CRAW unit first, and then add your charm. And then come back and close. So that would be, there we go. Hold it in the right direction here. There we go. I thought I'd put it on backwards there for a second. I was like, oh great, that's great. Alright, so then cat charms are going to go on the right hand side and on the left hand side, and then one of the extra little charms is going to go down on the bottom, just with 1 extra jump ring. The ones on the back are going to have 2 extra jump rings. I was making sure I did it that way. And then this one already happens to have a jump ring on it, so these are the front. So then you just make sure you flip over to the back, and that you're doing the back ones. I would suggest to go ahead and do the front ones first, so you don't get confused on to which ones are which. But I am just trying to show you which one, or how to add one of these, which is basically the same fashion. I already have an extra jump ring on here, just happened to pick up that way. So now I'm going to open up that second jump ring. And then the back side is only going to have our little tiger eye charms. So then we're going to add our little tiger eye charm. And see how I was saying earlier in the first clip, it's going to make it a lot easier if you already have 1 jump ring on all of your charms. So the front side is going to have 1 extra jump ring. The back side will have 2 extra jump rings. So go ahead and add all of your charms together, and then meet me back and we'll see the final product. Tried the stitch? I'd love to see how your CRAW earrings turned out. You can post your photos and share your progress over my YouTube community tab. It's a great place to connect with other jewelry lovers. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. I've still got one more Cat's Meow project coming up next. Tried the stitch? I'd love to see how Tried the stitch? I'd love to see how your CRAW earrings, man, that's a tongue twister.